Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So today I'm going to talk to you about uh, I got a question from a friend earlier today, and I figured we had a good conversation and some positive information was exchanged there, and I think it would be a good idea to kind of talk to you guys about I'm wondering if anybody out there has this question, and in this day and age that we're in, I know that a lot of people might be wondering, a lot of men, for example, that are coming up and you're wondering probably the same thing that a friend of mine asked me today, and I just want to shed some light on it. And if you have that question, then we can probably share some value here today. The question is it worth it to be married as a successful man in 2025? And how does this affect your life, your business, your livelihood, your overall happiness and well-being? And I know a lot of men out there today are anti-marriage, that they're saying that being married is a huge liability, it's a huge risk. So I found that this question was very interesting, and some of the stuff that the friend was telling me, it seemed to be the common narrative out there that being married in 2025, 2024, and in your future, that it seems as if men think that it's not worth it. There are so many risks, there's so many things involved. The court system takes advantage of men, and a lot of men find that to be very unfair, and they end up in a situation where they have to be worried about and fighting with divorce, custody battles, and all of that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that and kind of look at the pros and the cons of having a family, being married, and or not being married, and and being single and doing what you're doing. So the first of all, I would say that you have to understand yourself and what you want, what you're about, what drives you, what motivates you, the passions that you have, and the type of life that you want. If you have a good understanding of self, I would say that you need to wait. In your early 20s as a man, I don't think you have any business trying to figure out if you're supposed to be married in your 20s at all. My opinion on this is that men need to take time to build their understanding of life, of the world, their value in terms of their earning potential. They don't truly reach any sort of sensible earning before the age of 30. Most of us are exceptional and can achieve an earlier earning potential earlier in our lives, like in our late 20s, we start, getting substantial income. That is enough. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking about money when the question was focused around relationship. The reason why I'm talking about money is that money is very important in fulfilling your role as a provider. And if you're not a good provider to a wife or to your children, then you're going to have a lot of other problems in your relationship. You have to first of all understand that your role as a man, a part of it is to provide for your family. And you need to be in the position where you can at least take care of majority of the living expenses for your family. I wouldn't recommend that any man enter into any situation where you are doing some kind of 50-50 arrangement, or you're relying on your wife's income to pay some of the bills and so on. So for those men who want to go 50-50, who want to say, hey, they need a girl who's educated, who's earning at least as much, I don't subscribe to that. And my 50-50 brothers out there, you need to really take a look and understand that you might be having the troubles that you're having with the ladies because your women are stressed out, my brother, trying to figure out how they're going to pay the bills or they're going to take care of the responsibilities. So 50-50 is not the way to go. So that's why the financial earning part is so important as a man, to make sure that you are fully responsible financially before, even if your wife works or if your girlfriend works, you need to make sure that that money can be redeployed into other areas, but it's not a necessity, especially if you have children. Especially if you have children, you have to make sure that you're ready for that. You're ready to take care of a child or children financially, and also of your wife. So if your woman has the option to stay home and raise your children and take care of the child, at least for a couple of years before school and so on, before that child goes off to school and so on, then she can probably go back to the workforce if you want her to. So the type of life that you want, the type of setup that you want, are you more traditional, or are you more modern and progressive, where you want your wife to be earning and doing the same as you're doing? That comes with benefits, and it also comes with some trade-offs that you have to understand. Are you willing to take a wife who's going to be more stressed because she has to be interacting with the outside world, doing a stressful job and bringing in money and being a provider as well? You're going to also have to be prepared to catch up on some of the household duties if you're a man. If you're a man and your wife is working, you cannot expect her to have dinner ready at a certain time for you, have everything done, have everything prepared, and be a traditional wife at home to you, but she's also providing some of the money, which is your traditional role. So you cannot try to occupy the best of both worlds by having both a woman being a stay-at-home type of wife duties, committing to that and conducting that for you, but at the same time she's bringing in income. If your woman is not bringing in any income, then yes, her role can be focused around being a homemaker and taking care of the home. But once she's bringing in any sort of income, you are going to have to help her by picking up some of those duties at home. Sometimes you might have to cook. Sometimes you might have to help with the laundry. Sometimes you might have to do this, you might have to do that. So bear that in mind. So you make your choice and take the trade-offs where you can afford to take them and where you're comfortable taking them. So that's one of the things that I told a friend today was having that ability to decide if you want to be married or not. You have to analyze yourself first and figure out if the type of setup that you want, a traditional or a non-traditional, and also if you can afford that type of deal. So let's talk about the other thing that's very, very huge out there right now, where men are wondering about the divorce probabilities. Yes, the divorce rates are very high, and it's more likely now that you will get divorced than not. So what does that mean for us men, especially men who are growing or building or achieving or earning well and who are entering into the prime stages of life? Do you really want to take that risk? That's the big question. Do you really want to take that risk of combining and exposing yourself to the liability of a divorce where everything that you've worked for is split down the middle and your wife can take more than half of that? It's not even a half, it's a lot more than half when you do the math on it. So you got to be understanding of those men who are apprehensive for that reason. They're not scared of commitment per se, they're scared of losing everything that they've worked for. Because as a man, if you get divorced within a certain time frame of life, like later in life, you don't have the energy, the time, the drive, or the desire necessarily to go out and rebuild yourself. If you get divorced in your 50s, I think you're pretty much going to be in a really bad position as a man to be divorced at that age. So you really got to be careful as to who you marry, the mindset of the woman that you marry, and if this woman believes in divorcing at all. And even so, you can't even be 100% sure that she won't change on you. 10 years is a long time down the road, 20 years is a long time, 30 years is a long time. And a lot of times people will walk out of their marriages even after they've been together a lot long, which makes no sense to me, but people do it. So if you are going to be married, you're going to go down the road of committing your life to someone emotionally, spiritually, and financially, you got to make sure that that person is the right person that you're making that commitment to. And not only that, you can't just base it on that and on love alone. You have to make sure that you have a conversation, a discussion, some kind of agreements in place with that woman or with that man. If you're the female considering these things, then you have to make sure that you have some kind of discussion, something in writing, whether you're going to do a prenup or a postnuptial agreement, something to that effect that specifies how you're going to control the ownership of assets within that relationship. So you have to make sure that you say, okay, for example, a good structure that I use and that you can use is that you got to make sure that you say, okay, in your agreement, you can establish that everything that is purchased within your name belongs to you, and everything that is purchased in your wife's name belongs to her, and everything that is purchased within that marriage that is in both of your names, those are the only assets that can be split 50-50. So I find that that's a very effective way that you can draft a prenuptial or a postnuptial agreement with your potential spouse long before the actual wedding. Don't wait until the wedding date to present her with this, because then she can make an argument, or he can make an argument that it is null and void because they felt forced, they felt pressured. The recommendation is, and I'm not a legal person, lawyer, or anything like that, but for good sense and good measure, I would issue this agreement even before the invitations to the wedding will go out. So if you have a girl, you love her, and you want to marry her, but you're scared of the risks that you're exposing yourself to, using the legal framework that we have. It's not perfect, and there are ways that people try to go around it all the time. But if you use this legal framework here, you have a lower chance of being taken advantage of. Get a lawyer, get an attorney who is experienced in this type of stuff, and have them help you draft. Even if you don't have money as yet, trust me, you don't know who you're going to be in the future. Set these things up, have these conversations with your potential wife or your husband, and let them understand that this is not a representation or saying that I don't love you, I don't believe that you're going to last, but you want to set the stage clear to make sure that there is no misunderstandings and nothing that will divide you or create any animosity among you. It just takes the pressure out of all of this financial worry and this financial pain, because it's a real concern, and I'm not going to ignore it and act like it's not a real concern for both men and women, but more so for men. When it comes down to custody and doing all of that type of stuff, that's a tricky one, because you don't know what the custody arrangements and that type of stuff is going to be like when you get married. So that one, you might have to deal with it when it comes along. But one of the main things that I want to tell you, gentlemen, especially, is be careful of who you marry. And also, ladies, be careful of who you marry. Make sure that you have a proper selection process in place, that you will be able to select the best mate, the best person for you to make that lifelong commitment with. Be careful who you have children with, especially, and be careful who you marry. You have to take your time and vet. Take your time and vet the person that you're going to marry. Take your time and evaluate the quality of the character of the person that you marry. Make sure that you test and you prove to that effect that the person that you're trying to make this commitment with is going to be a good, honest, fair person. A good way to know if somebody's fair is to present them with your ideas and your thoughts of having, say, a prenup, for example. And if they are rebellious and very offended by the thought of you trying to be clear, maybe that person is not as fair as they should be, and you might want to reconsider marrying them. No fair and honest person is going to object to, say, having a prenup that is not one-sided, that is balanced, that says, hey, in our marriage, before we buy anything, we're gonna buy a car, we're gonna buy something of a value exceeding a certain amount, we're gonna decide whose name it's gonna be in. And then you establish from out the gate that, okay, we're gonna buy a house, it's gonna be in both of our names, that's our family dwelling, and this is how it's gonna be. It's gonna be in both of our names. That means both of us have ownership in it, and we own it in the percentage of a 50-50 or a 50-40 or a 60-40 or a 70-30, whatever your percentage is that you want to negotiate and establish. So in case anything happens down the road, you are guaranteed to 40 or 50% or 60% or whatever percentage you're entitled to of that home, to make sure there's no confusion. If you're gonna buy a car, you can make sure that, okay, this car that I'm buying is for the wife, so you put it in her name, and that will give a clear indication that you are trying to be fair and you're trying to be balanced. And I think that a fair-minded person will see that this is something that is not trying to take advantage of them or leave them in the cold if anything should happen. So this is one of the ways that I think that men need to have an honest conversation. We talk a lot about masculinity on this channel, and this is one of those masculine things that you're going to have to stand on and make sure that you set it clear up front and you put it in writing to make sure that you are giving the right guidance up front. So when the friend was talking to me today about is it worth it, he's scared about going down the road of getting married and having children and tying up his assets with this girl that he loves, but he's not sure what the future is going to hold and if she's going to change on him, and that's a real concern for the men. And in the long and short of things, if you're going to have family, if you're going to have children, the best place for those children to be is in a two-parent household. And that's proven right across the board, that children who are raised by both parents turn out to be better humans, better, more productive, and everything in between. They have a better chance of being successful in life. So if you want to have children, it's best to be married. If you are capable of being faithful, if you're capable of being loyal, not everybody is capable of being disciplined and being faithful and being loyal. So if you know that you can't satisfy with just one partner for the rest of your life, then marriage might not be for you. You have to understand yourself, and the good book says, to thine own self, be true to thine own self. So make sure that you understand who you are. And if you know that you are not capable, if you know that you are weak to the flesh, you stay away from the sanctity of marriage and be honest with the people that you are dealing with, and let them know that you are not monogamous, that you are not that type of person, and own whatever your frame of mind is. Tell them that you're not disciplined enough to do this, and you have to understand your limitations as it relates to being disciplined. So once you don't have those things in place, and once you have a mature individual who is submissive as a wife, and a husband who is providing and protecting for his family, and who loves his wife and loves his family as even more than how he loves his own self, because that's the type of commitment it's going to take to stick it out and work through whatever issues that you have and enjoy the benefits that it has to offer. So there are many benefits as it relates to family, as it relates to values and cultivating communities, and even financial and reputational and tax incentives too that comes with it that you can benefit from. So there are multiple benefits to being married for you. And the cons, and the major con that people have, is the fear of divorce and losing custody of children during divorce and separation. There are legal frameworks that you can put in place to make sure that you have some protection. But the most important thing that I would say is men and women need to learn properly, need to understand and have a lot of wisdom when it comes on to choosing who they're marrying, making sure that they're marrying somebody who loves them, somebody who cares about them, and somebody who doesn't have any ill will towards them, and someone who's genuine and who is happy. Make sure your family is involved in the potential spouse or the potential partner's selection. I'm a strong believer in that, making sure that your husband is selected in part with your family. Your family is going to be good. You have older relatives like a father, and you need to make sure that your father is critical in making sure that you select a good husband. Make sure that a good husband selects you, to be a wife to him, and that your father approves, and make sure that your father himself is a good example of that as well. Because we have a lot of men now who are dads, and they were not so nice to women in their past, but they now want to say that they want a Prince Charming for their daughters when they were dogs the whole time. So those type of men, we don't listen to them. We don't speak for them, and we don't associate ourselves with them. The type of men who are low down, not doing their role as men, who are just irresponsible with their discipline. They have no sexual discipline. They're all over the place, and they make a mess everywhere that they go. We don't listen to those type of dudes over here. We don't take advice from them. We're masculine, strong men. We believe in family. We believe in good society. We believe in good order. We believe in discipline. We believe in masculinity over here. So these dudes that believe that only guys that are simps get married, as they call them, you're deadly wrong. So the most dangerous, most courageous, most disciplined, most most tough and fierce men out here are married. So I want to say that today, that a lot of people get the misunderstanding that only dudes that are weak get married these days. No, that's not true. That is not true. And a lot of the men that are married need to get their spines back and get their masculinity in check, and make sure that they're not living in this happy wife, happy life prison that they are representing. So they're doing married guys' image a very bad disservice. And I'm here to repair that, here to kind of shed some light and let the world know that men that are married out here are not weak, we're not simps, we're not punks, we're tougher than you, who's out there laughing and being a little playboy and being a little indisciplined little guy with 10 venereal, all types of diseases and all sorts of STIs and so on. Tell them about that part of your experience, being a single man, being a free agent out here. You got to make sure that you are not cheapening your value, and that you're building your discipline. You expose yourself to so much danger, so much risk, and so much negative things that can tear your life apart when you're not married. At least if you have a baby within marriage, you have a better chance of that child being something productive, of being in that child's life and having a legacy that can live on, than to go knock up some girl, who you met on OnlyFans or wherever that you're finding these girls on. So you'll just help to create more broken homes and more destroyed families, by extension, a worse off society. So you can't complain about the society that we live in when you are the ones who are creating this dysfunctional group of individuals that don't have any family upbringing or background. So, on this topic, I have a lot to say on it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if you agree with me on marriage. Yes, my recommendation for men, if you're going to have children, be married, but also know thyself and know that if you are not capable of being disciplined, of being faithful, of being committed, you stay away from marriage. It's not for you. And it requires that level of commitment, that level of discipline. It's a sacred thing. It needs to be respected, and both men and women need to commit to each other and put the necessary frameworks in place that can safeguard against damages in the event that things don't work out. What we always say, you take your time, make sure the selection process is foolproof, it's good, you have family members involved, and you have good reputational people that you take guidance and advice and leadership from. It's helpful too if you have spiritual wisdom and if you have some kind of a connection with the Creator and you believe in the sanctity of marriage and what it represents. Thank you so much for listening to me again today. I appreciate you joining. Please go ahead and subscribe if you like what we're about over here. Even if you don't like it, subscribe anyways. We welcome healthy disagreement. We welcome disagreement as long as it's respectful. We're willing to have discourse. We're willing to talk. Go ahead and let's get this subscriber count up on this channel. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you share the video. Share it all over your different platforms. Your YouTube platform is here. You can share these videos. They're wide open for you. Share them on your Instagram. Share them on your Facebook. Share them all over on TikTok, wherever you want. Share them all over. React to them, respond to them. Send us messages. We want the engagement. And see you again on the next one. Check out our other channel or videos, on this channel. And thank you again for watching. This is Cal on Next Wave Media. See you next time.